Okay, everybody, apparently we're live. So, well, some of us are. So let's get going. Thank you for coming. Tonight's meeting of the Frome Town Council's Oversight Committee. I'm Mark Dorrington, I'll be chairing. We have people online and in the room, which you will all know by now, but for those new people, there's an emergency exit in there, toilets at the end of the corridor there, and there's refreshments over there. Paul is clerking. Sarah, Laura and Becca will manage the minutes, questions board, participant settings and the IT. This meeting will be recorded and posted on our YouTube channel. If there is anybody attending via Zoom, please use the yellow hand and ask questions. So, Paul, do we have any apologies for absence?
We have apologies from Mel Usher and Ben Still.
Thank you very much. We have to vote to accept those. Can someone propose that we accept that? Thank you, Andy. Second that. Thank you, Nick. Vote. Unanimous, thank you. Do any councillors have a declaration of interest for tonight's agenda? No one's interested, that's good, thank you. And we then move on to the approval of the minutes, which was the last meeting, which was held on the 29th of January. You've all had a copy of it. I've got a couple of questions to matters arising from that, but please, I'll do those and anybody else jump in. One of the things was we asked Nikki to approve an application to the Health and Wellbeing Fund. How did we get on with that?
We were successful.
Hurrah! So what does that mean in real terms?
That means it's £35,000 to work with Terrestrial, and we'll be working with Chard Town Council as well.
Thank you very much. Well done with that. The other thing I was going to pick up, we asked Peter Wheelhouse to start recruiting town centre coordinator. I think, Nick, you've been involved in that. How are we getting on with that?
No, hopefully. Yes, Peter very bravely with COVID did a paper sift today, and we've shortlisted candidates for interviews next week.
Interviews next week.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Good luck with that. Anybody else got any questions arising from the minutes of the last meeting? In which case, can I have somebody propose that we accept those minutes? Thank you, Steve. Seconded by Fiona. Vote. I'll sign those. Thank you very much. So the first item on our agenda is a short presentation from Scrap Store. Thank you for Lucy for coming. I'll sign those. Thank you very much. Sorry, hang on.
I'm
So
just
the
going to
first
introduce, set the scene.
item on our agenda is a short presentation from Scrap Store. Thank you for Lucy for coming. Councillors or members of the public. Oh, here we go.
Feels justified. Yeah, I'd just like to say, looking at the minutes, just at the last oversight meeting, we approved the purchase of that fantastic machine.
Yeah.
And not only has it been bought, but it's arrived and operational and being driven around the town. Rather alarmingly, Andy said he had a go in it today. Hopefully it's still working, but that's great. It's moving quickly, getting something in place. Brilliant.
Yeah, thank you for that, Nick. And then now Michael's enjoying it and even got an app to work on it the other day. So, yeah, thanks to everybody who's got involved in that. And I think we'll talk about more machinery a bit later on. You can stop now. So, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, Nikki is going to introduce Lucy from Scrap Store, who's going to update us on the play strategy.
Great, thank you. So just to set the scene, in 2021, Scrap Store won the tender to write the 2021-2025 play strategy for the town. So the ambition was to make Frome a place where spaces were playful and community play organisations supported opportunities for people in our town to play. Scrap Store have now reviewed the original ambitions and recommendations of the strategy, and Lucy's about to present representing Scrap Store as a whole.
Thank you. Thank you. Is this working? Oh yeah, great. I think I'm the warm-up act for the green lot. Okay, so thanks Nikki for that introduction. We were indeed asked to look at creating a play strategy for Frome back in 2021. We undertook at that point play space audits across the town in various green spaces, play spaces, the incidental spaces where children and families can play. We were very much looking at, from a kind of life course perspective, thinking about all ages. And from that, we developed 9 ambitions, looking at how to create an enabling environment for play for all ages, as I said, from sort of, naught all the way up. So we, over the last couple of months, have been looking at what's happened across this town since the recommendations came into place. And I'm just going to run through this to give you an overview. So as a reminder, in the play strategy, which the link is here, and I'm sure you've all seen it and shared it, and you can revisit it, we were looking at how to kind of assess what Frome offers everybody from a kind of play perspective, thinking about how important play is for well-being, whoever you are. So the strategy pulled out those kind of key findings. We looked at your outdoor spaces and these kind of key findings that, Frome is a really beautiful place in terms of all the green spaces that are on offer, and giving lots of opportunity for everybody to experience nature across the seasons, and lots of access to different spaces and opportunities. A variety of green spaces and parks, and the Choose Play survey that was conducted at the time definitely shared the residents' feelings about the green spaces across the town. Something that did come up throughout kind of our observations and some of the survey findings is that there was a lack of kind of accessible play equipment across all of the town and all of the spaces. Those kind of opportunities and provocations and equipment that offers excitement and challenge to everybody, and that kind of limited outdoor space that offers that creativity and performance and expression. So we use a methodology, you'll see just a snapshot of that up in the right hand, to kind of look and see what a space offers under those various headings. And also that idea of actually across the town and the play spaces, there was a need to increase the opportunities for risk and challenge, and all the benefits that come from offering children and older children, actually, and young people, those opportunities to have those exciting and challenging experiences. Social gathering spaces was coming up a lot as well for teenagers and young people, and thinking about how those were accessible and feeling safe all year round. So those were kind of the highlights from those physical space audits. What we know in play is that in terms of making for quality play, we need to consider 3 elements. So the time that people have to down tools and to have a break and, pursue those kind of hobbies and play and activity, whatever you called it. We spent a lot of time thinking about, okay, as adults, do we call it play? What do we call it? But actually, the things that we choose to do in our own way, in our own time, that was kind of what was coming through. So regardless of age, we all need time to pursue those things. We need space, and that isn't necessarily about vast open spaces. That's about a variety of spaces offering lots of challenge and variety and options. And so the kind of, lots of variation on that, and freedom, which sometimes gets interchanged in play speak with permissions. So that idea of, do we have the freedom, do we have the permissions from the infrastructure, from the, the constraints of things around us? How do we allow children and young people to freely explore their environment and, experience challenge and all of those things? So when designing a space, we look at those 3 elements, and you'll often see that written in lots of play material, thinking about time, space, permission, and opportunities. So we've kind of kept that theme within the original play strategy, and whilst looking at what's happened in Frome over the last few years. So our 9 ambitions that came out of the original strategy Increase play opportunities and make them visible. Actually, there's quite a lot of opportunity in Frome, but actually, who knows about it? Does everybody know about it? How do they access information? The second point there being, in an ideal, and this is still an ambition, have a dedicated play organisation to support that time, space and freedom to play across the town. 3 was about enhancing existing play spaces. So how do you make the sites you've already got even better? Then thinking about developing a wider range of spaces for play. So some of this is kind of like the incidental spaces, the places that people play on journeys to and from, and how it all links up and flows through the town. Then we thought about benchmarking future developments in terms of how do you make sure that going forward these play opportunities are always considered when new developments are on the cards and what have you. Number 6 is about encouraging more doorstep play and connection. So actually for children particularly, where do you play literally outside your house on the end of your street, like really in that kind of, close to home doorstep type play. Increasing a sense of belonging for teenagers was number 7. 8 was about ensuring equity of play provision. And 9, thinking about how to continue to build participative engagement with a focus on play. And I know that's really kind of heavily thought about in your work. So our kind of progress check of where you are now, you'll see the ambitions are linked across the top. So we've just done, it's important to note that at the bottom of every slide we've written here that it's not an exhaustive list. So if we've missed something or we couldn't fit it all in, there are possibly other things happening, but in terms of a snapshot of the range of things that have happened, Junior Young People's Grants, you'll see those listed there, playful pop-ups that have happened, the local networks, and all of these giving opportunities to make play, experiences really visible to the residents of Frome. Sorry. Dedicated play organisation, this is still an aspiration, but actually whilst that hasn't happened in terms of one specific play organisation, actually there are many organisations over the years that have contributed to play in Frome and will continue to do so and be supported to do so. So the list of those there, Super Roots, Cultivating Community, Terrestrial, who Nikki just mentioned, The Pod, Speakeasy, Adventure, Purple Elephant, and what you're brilliant at, we noticed through the observations we've done back in the office in Bristol, is your social media, thank you. Social media presence. All of these offers and organisations regularly promoting what's happening across the town. So ambition 3 was about enhancing existing play spaces. And this again was a snapshot of all the things that we've noticed across the town, the solar lighting, the shelter, both at the show fields, the toilets at Vicky Park, community garden developments, fairy trails, pirate walks, pirate parks, all sorts of amazing things that you guys have put into spaces. The play trolley, of course, that's really close to our hearts because it's full of scrap, and scrap's the best thing to play with. So play ranges, obviously, have been integral to lots of the physical evolution and development and maintenance of the play spaces. Eggford Park development, Welsh Mill, as you can see, the list is pretty long, and there's probably other things to think about. So some pictures here just capturing some of that. Developing wider ranges of spaces. These, are, as I say, were more about the kind of incidental spaces in some of the perhaps residential areas or places that are just on the doorstep that can be developed, and the community of taking on some of that development. So residents have added their own toys to the sandpits in Packsaddle, for example. You've got your markings for bikes and scooters at Chapman's Close. Mentioned the pirates and the fairies already. Tiny forests, all those sorts of things, just enhancing and creating more journeys and adventurous places to be and to hang out. 5, the benchmarking of future developments. And again, I'm sure we've not got everybody's name, but thank you to everybody who's helped contribute. We put a big call out a few months ago to ask people to kind of share from a qualitative point of view all the things that have happened in their work streams. So again, thinking about how this can continue to enhance, and then thinking about sort of going forward how external developers can be supported to keep play at the heart of what's happening. 6 was the doorstep play streets initiative, Super Roots pop-ups, again, those incidental opportunities, lots of seating and picnic tables, places where people can gather. And actually those spaces, when people gather more in them, they've become safer through natural surveillance. The more people you can put in a space, the nicer it feels. So creating opportunities for people to stop and to be is really important. Other things like the initiatives about growing and getting young children and young people to take ownership of a space and hang out in a space and develop it is really key. Trigger happy. Increase a sense of belonging. So very much thinking about young people, teenagers. So the things that have happened already, you've got some detached youth work that goes on, supporting young people out in their spaces. So detached youth workers going out to kind of look where the young people are and to connect and engage with them. Thinking about lighting and shelter, that increases the sense of safety. Supporting young people to go out and use those spaces, and your co-design opportunities, allowing young people to be part of that. And I know that's something that's in your minds for carrying on with in terms of collaboration. So in terms of ambition 8, that equity of play provision, there's still a need and a desire to increase more equitable play opportunities and more accessible play opportunities. There have been some things that have been put into place which have created more accessible play spaces, but that's definitely something that can be continued to work on. So number 9 was that participative engagement with a focus on play. So thinking about actually your community engagement and how you do that, getting the input from your local residents, getting out there in the community, playing games, the activities that have gone on here at the town hall, being able to pull people together in a variety of ways to promote play, but also to use that as a vehicle to get their thoughts. So in terms of what could come next, we linked this to your new town council, your plan. So one of the findings in there, thinking about young people still having limited opportunities, and actually your population of under 18s and how you can better support, and thinking about how all of these things that we've been talking about improve young people's physical and emotional well-being. Open spaces and the importance of those, those, and that came through all the work we did originally. So thinking about how you've got things already in the pipeline to develop work at Welsh Mill and Egford Park, continuing to strengthen play opportunities, linking to the cafe and the play trolleys, and obviously devolution is going to mean an increase in the parks and green spaces that you're going to have, be able to have impact on in terms of keeping this play culture running through. And you'll have more community asset potential, of course, and more terrestrial work across neighbourhoods, which will increase that doorstep play, which will be great. So just as a reminder, we're suggesting you keep your 9 ambitions as are listed here, with that theme of, or the focus of time, space, permission running through. And then some things that we feel are probably still important to focus on, thinking about how your community team and town rangers can continue to develop those spaces and engagement opportunities, how you can embed sort of play, a culture of play through other areas of the council's work streams, some work with Play England, which would be really exciting to kind of showcase the work that Froome have done. That's something that we're hoping to support with, and how you can open up other community spaces. So thinking more about inclusive play and access. Are there other ways that you can tap into the play spaces and offer that's already in the town? So yeah, continuing to develop social spaces to allow young people to gather, and look at how you can use those town-wide events to gather people's thoughts for your engagement work. So I've gone one step too far. I'll stop it on there. No, I won't. Sorry, I'm just the warm-up. I've got it ready for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lucy. Does anybody have any questions for Lucy? Anne?
What I know our play strategy is intergenerational and for all ages. What do you think about having age-specific play areas? I'm thinking some young children find teenagers quite intimidating. And if there was you have to be over the age of 12 in order to access this particular area, it might encourage them to be away from the areas where maybe smaller children want to be. So not only making spaces that they want to be, but places that are exclusive for them, to draw them to those areas. It's just something that someone mentioned to me earlier this week, and I thought, yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, isn't it? There's certainly a lot written, and something we feel very important about is that the value of mixed age play and children and young people being together. You also have to think about the different usage times when younger children will be accessing these spaces tend to be when the older children and teenagers are out of the picture, whether school or college or what have you. So there doesn't tend to be a lot of natural crossover. And also, I think it becomes hard to, well, not hard to manage, but if you can keep everybody following the rules of the age they're meant to stick to, then then good luck. But I think, you know, there's definitely something to be said between mixing people together. I think, you know, one thing we noticed, we do a lot of work in schools, and so we're on playgrounds a lot during school lunchtime play and out doing play ranging in local communities after school. The value for children to be alongside, you know, for older children to be alongside younger children, to have a sense of responsibility and accountability, but also for younger children to look up to and to sort of, you know, get some of that provocation and idea and interaction. It's quite valuable, you know, it is quite valuable.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And then we heard that a lot with the skate park, that the outside perception is that tiny children would find the older teenagers intimidating, but that wasn't the true picture on the ground. It was that the older children were teaching, encouraging, acting as mentors for the small children, and I think there's a lot for that. So yeah, I only put it, I don't know necessarily it's a good idea, but I just put it forward that
Probably not a hard and fast answer, but there's definitely something to be said for mixing everybody. And I think naturally older children and young people will get their opportunity for those spaces to have them alone later in the day or in the evenings, and in the, you know, the mornings during school day. Those younger children get the free run as well, and that's a variated challenge.
Can I just add to that? So there are some spaces that are not exclusively, but, you know, primarily for younger children, for instance. So the other way. Yes. So there's the Teletubbies in Victoria Park. There's the fenced off area of the play area in Mary Bailey, which is, so there are sort of spaces that are for people that want to be just with younger children. There are those, just to feed that in.
But a follow up to that is the idea of providing more risky play areas. And that comes back to your point, how can we make that safe if a smaller child access something that's actually meant for a bigger teenager, and make it safe?
So there are plenty of options that kind of vary that risk and challenge. And obviously younger children, I'm guessing the age that you'll be worried about, are going to be supervised by adults, aren't they, as well? So there's that other element of supervision, and that kind of, you know, having something that offers, if you're too little, you can't reach it to start with. So, you know, clever design and certain equipment and using natural sort of loose parts and equipment, you can design kind of ways around that. Yes, it would require some adult supervision for the younger ones, definitely.
Fiona?
First of all, I just want to say thank you very much. That was really good. It was really good to get that sort of independent view of where we're at with the play strategy and sort of a check-in and to get your opinion and everything. I just want to almost come in on the other side of the coin to what Anne was saying, because actually I think I was really pleased that you highlighted the lack of spaces that we have for young people, for teenagers, because I think, in my opinion, that is the thing I think as a town that we are failing on the most. I think it's something that has come up repeatedly in the picture. It came up in the picture of Foom work, which you highlighted. I've also done some work with Foom College and Earth House, and some students came here and they all said that they feel like they're always in the way, like there's nowhere for them to be. And I think the flip side of the young children is actually often teenagers feel like young children kind of dominate everything, like they kind of take over and they, and they don't have anywhere to be. And you've just named some, we have these spaces for young people, but actually for children, where are our like dedicated spaces for young people? And I know that we've got the skate park, we're looking at that, and I've seen hammocks, which I love the sound of in the management plan, but I'd really love us to do something really bold and really a co-design project with teenagers, and especially if you look at where they tend to kind of go. Like, I think they do hang out in Victoria Park with the skate park, but they come from Frome College, they come along Welsh Mill through the town centre. I just think there's, yeah, the lack of spaces for young people to be, you know, safe, you know, secure, but also sort of privately, not overlooked, not feel like they're always in the way. Especially, I think, post-COVID, I think that's really important. That social contract has been severed between young people, and social skills have been lost, and we have to encourage that. And we'll come on to it in the management plans, but I just feel really passionately about that. And I think that is our one thing that I think we are really not
It's often more
delivering at the moment.
provision for younger children. There's often more on offer.
Yeah, and there's so many options, and I see it all around, and I just feel really like, yeah, like it'd be great to do something really, yeah, really cool. Like, not that I know what cool is, don't ask me, but like, I'm sure they would tell, like these things they would know, and I just think we should, yeah, do something with that.
Oh, very well. There you are.
Yeah, Fiona said just whatever I say. It's a difficult area.
Any more for Nikki and or Lucy and or Nikki? No? Thank you, Lucy. It's much appreciated. Thanks very much. Right, the next, you'll have seen from the agenda, was very, you don't have to stand down. It's very heavy tonight on open spaces, and it's great to see all the rangers here. I think you've all turned out tonight. It's really, really good. So thank you for coming, because a lot of you don't get seen enough by other councillors and by the public as a whole. So it's great to get you a bit more visible. So you can now speak to your leader. Well, you'll speak to us. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. Oh, is this? Oh. So tonight, we do a quarterly update, as you know. So tonight's slightly different in as much as the report's got the update as normal, but we wanted to do, actually it was Paul's suggestion, to do a bit of a behind the scenes insight into not only the work that's been achieved, but how we all do the things. The Rangers, tree officer, and biodiversity, resilience officer, are the unsung heroes, really. And so thank you very much, everyone who's come tonight to be here. I think it's a great opportunity for us to share, how we do things and the work that's involved, because there's a lot involved, and we obviously just get on and do it because that's our job. But it is hopefully interesting to see the way we do things. So tonight, yeah, a little different. You've got the report on the update. Rather than dwelling on those things, we're going to pick out various elements and give the Rangers a chance, tree officer, resilience officer, a chance to talk about the work they're doing. So I'm going to shut up. So just on this, the format of this bit is we're going to have a video, and then several of the Rangers are going to talk. Helen's going to talk, Joe's going to talk, and then I'm just going to pick up the last bit on devolution. So I'm going to hand over to, and then Laura, Becky, is this the moment when we can do the video? Oh dear, no.
I'll just give you, sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to give a little bit of a background to it. So just wanted to say thank you to every single ranger that is in this video, and for sending and being models for me. So I put this video together because we were asked to put a presentation together, and we didn't want to give you another death by PowerPoint. So we've got a 3-minute video that showcase all our work. Not all of it, there's so much more that we could add, but Rob said 3 to 3.5 minutes. So I squeezed as much as I could. the other thing is as well, you will see it on this video, we are in the sunshine, the sun is shining, it's all very nice and dry. It's not usually the case. We very often work in the rain and in all types of weather. So just take this with a pinch of salt. Steve.
Could you introduce all the rangers? Oh, yeah. Okay. Because I know names.
Yeah, no, it's a very good, thank you, Steve, that's very good. But
Anyone who's watching would be...
absolutely, okay. Rangers, do you want me to say your name? Do you want to use, should I just say the names? Yeah, okay, so you know Asha, she's standing up here. So we're going to go this way around. So Mike at the back with the cap and the beard. Mark at the back with the hat, always with the hat, can't miss Mark. Other Mark, not with the hat, with a bit of a beard. Jay, I'm sure you all know Jay, lead ranger. Laura, who's going to give a bit of a chat, our newest recruit. Helen, tree officer here. Tony, and then at the back there also Joe, who you will know as resilience officer. Thanks.
Okay, let's do it. Play.
The Frome Town Council Ranger team consists of 6 rangers, a town centre ranger and the tree officer. We manage 26 hectares with a further 5 coming in June. This encompasses 8 play areas with 8 more on the way, a Victorian park, playfields, ancient woodland, meadows, riverbank and ponds. One of the pillars of our work is community and events. We have a bi-weekly volunteer group, run corporate volunteer days, work with students from Critchill and Frome College, support the Allotment Association. We have a weekly visit from the Discovery Group, and we recently hosted a work experience student on this winter's hedge laying project. This was recorded in charcoal by local artist Hannah Carding. In addition, we support events on FTC land, such as the Children's Festival, the Carnival fundraiser, the Big Spring Clean, the Drone Show, and the Christmas Light Switch On. We perform repairs, such as broken gateways, and installations, like new benches and share boxes. Our winter is dominated by our tree works and the many kilometres of hedge that we cut and lay. A tree risk assessment is undertaken by an external contractor, and this substantial document covers every tree on our land and dictates our tree work for the season. In the summer, it's grass cutting, trimming and watering that make up the bulk of our work to maintain our green spaces. We also undertake tree planting and ongoing care, such as pruning, mulching, coppicing and orchard harvesting. We weekly inspect and record all our play equipment, repair and maintain that equipment, or organise outside contractors to do so. Occasionally, we may be required to demolish old equipment and do groundworks in preparation for new play installations. We reposition and collect data from 3 speed indicator devices around town on a bi-weekly basis. There's the Town Centre Ranger, who's tasked with the care of the appearance and maintenance of the town centre, now reinforced with the new street sweeper. And on a weekly basis, we have to service the fountain on Boyle's Cross, which involves descending into the pit. This job requires specialist training to perform safely and is essential for maintaining the water quality of the fountain. Our remit also encompasses large-scale development projects. For example, this new play area we completed in Welshmill Woods last year, to our latest project, recently completed at Milk Street. These projects require planning, ground surveys, preparation and specialist equipment, and usually see the whole team come together to deliver high quality results that can make a huge difference to local communities. And if delivering a project like this isn't worth celebrating with some jazz hands, then what is?
Well done, Ash and Mark, for getting that into 3.5 minutes. I know you wanted to get a bit longer, really.
I don't know if you wanted to ask any questions now, or
Should we just go,
should we do?
questions now, or just go through the different slots?
Great. Can I have next slide, please? Oh, am I doing this?
Yes, you can.
No, the other way.
Next one.
I'll let you do this, Laura.
The Froome
I'm good with tech. You can tell I'm good with tech. Yes, so Froome Town Rangers. So myself and Mark Scopes, without the hat, have been working with Froome College since June 2023. And we work with students who are part of Earth House, and Mandela Pivot, who's the coordinator of it, is sort of trying to engage students in issues of sustainability, climate change, and biodiversity loss. So Mark and I have worked on restoring this beautiful pond, which is heart-shaped. And we did some tree clearance over there. We then came in and dredged the pond as well with the help of the students to kind of revitalize and breath some more life into it. Since then, we have also built outdoor area, which you can see with this group of the students. So we created a space where students, not just from Earth House, but from the whole school, could come and use that outdoor space as a place to learn biology, to spend time outside. Also trying to encourage teachers to come out and use that space. We also planted hedges, and we'll continue to plant hedges into next season as well. And now I'll be going there tomorrow to help the students build a platform that will go into this pond to help with pond dipping. And we'll be also doing some orchard planting as well. And the whole idea is to kind of empower students to take action on climate change through doing really hands-on activities and kind of seeing the effect straight away. So sometimes climate action can be very frustrating, so it's a kind of idea to help them do it straight away. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashra. Mark?
I'm just going to talk a little bit about one of our winter projects this year, which has been laying a hedge at Waylands on one of our sites. It was sort of kicked off. Asher got some funding to do some courses this year, and one of those was hedge laying. It's something I've been doing for a decade and I'm quite passionate about. It's a real part of our heritage in this country. It's incredibly diverse. If you go to one of the country to the other, you will find people doing it in different ways with different tools. And so with our shared ability, it was felt that we'd like to use that. So we identified Waylands. It's a 100-metre length section of hedge. It's one of our more difficult hedges to maintain because of its size. So it was felt that if we lay that hedge, we can reduce its size and make it easier to maintain. So we had consultation with the local community because that hedge is very close to a lot of people's houses. That was received really well, so we decided to go ahead with that. And we were lucky enough to have a student with us from Froome College that week, and Laura came with us as well, and she has been upskilled in how to use a bill hook. And that hedge is now laid. It's done to Midland style. And it's not just about that being easiest for us to maintain. There's also an ecological advantage there. Those trees will be revitalized by laying. I know it sometimes looks brutal from the outside, but actually it does them real good, and they will come back a lot stronger through this summer. And it will thicken the hedge out, which will make it a better environment for birds to nest in. But it will also benefit the mammal population of Waylands. It's one of our richest sites for voles, so it should be a good habitat for them as well. And yeah, if you want to have a look at it, go down Waylands and have a gander. But that's all from me. Cheers.
Thanks very much, Mark. you can see just how well it benefits the hedge and wildlife, and presentation by the hedge we did a year ago at the medical centre in the Showfield. So next it is Laura, who's very kindly offered to give an insight into what it's like to join this team. So you can say whatever you like, Laura, but thank you very much.
So yeah, I've met some of you already, but for those of you who haven't, I'm Laura. I am the new assistant ranger. I've been here for about 3 to 4 months now, so started in December. So yeah, I'm just going to talk about some of the projects that I've been involved in so far. So as Mark just mentioned, hedge laying, and that's a skill that I wanted to learn for quite a while, so I was very happy to be involved in that. And Milk Street, of course, which was, well, the only landscaping project I've been involved in so far. So that was good to get kind of a vibe of what the, team aspect is to the role. So overall, I learned quite quickly how varied the work is that we do. So not just in terms of seasonality and how it changes. So I've experienced hedge cutting in the winter, now going into spring, more trimming and mowing. But also day to day, so there's always different things that come up quite last minute as well, so we've got to be quite adaptable. So yeah, it's a good part of the role that I like, because it keeps you on your toes. Every day is different. And then also part of my role is to assist Mike, the town ranger, and most recently we went up to Chateau Gontier together and tidied up some of the beds there. We also installed a bench and removed some of the graffiti, so that was really good. It made the space look really good afterwards. And yeah, overall, I'm really enjoying being part of the team and learning lots of new skills from great mentors. And yeah, looking forward to developing the new land that we acquire. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much, Laura. That's great of you to do that. Tree Officer Helen.
Hello, everyone. Right, how did we get to this point? Doing some apple tree giveaways. Well, as you know, we've planted many trees and hedgerows as part of the Wild Brats Trees project in Frome Town Council's green spaces, working alongside communities. And the planting has fitted in the management plans for each space, as well as making sure we have the right tree in the right place. And we will continue, obviously, to plant trees and hedgerows, but some of our sites right now are near saturation point. So good news about oncoming green space to us. That's very exciting. But as part of the project as well, we will continue, and we have been continuing to support and encourage communities to plant in their own gardens. We have linked in with the Neighbourhood Networks project and already supported a number of street planting in front gardens with native whips. Now, last year, I completed a course in community orcharding and learnt to graft. So we decided it'd be nice not only to celebrate the orchard we have at Millennium Green, but we thought we wanted to expand our heritage collection in Frome. So we had a community prune, which was really nice, Millennium Green. We collected the scions. And in November 23, I ordered in 120 M27 rootstocks, which is a dwarfing rootstock. And this was deliberate. The dwarfing rootstock, obviously, you're not going to get a huge tree, and that enables people, it makes it more accessible for majority of people to have a small tree in their garden. Also, on the dwarfing rootstock, the tree fruits quicker, so you're going to get fruit and free food. So that was something we wanted to do. And so, like I said, we've ordered in 120. We grafted 120, and out of that, 110 worked, which was great. So that's really exciting. And a number of the trees some have gone up to Frome College for various community projects, Frome Seed Library with the children, and some have been planted on our spaces. But we were able to do a tree giveaway, which was very successful. I think they went in about kind of 5-10 minutes. So we could have done that probably 3 or 4 times over. So we're gonna, I think, because of the impact has been really positive, we're gonna do it again. So if those of you that popped down to the Rangers Yard today, you might have seen some newly grafted apple trees. And this year, we have on our land planted a couple of newer species as well, like Fiji, topaz, pinova and scrumptious. And these are newer species which are quite resilient in terms of climate change. So as our climate is changing, we hope they're going to be strong apple varieties. So in the future, it'd be nice to do some grafts from these, as well as expanding and looking after our heritage collection. So the trees we have up at Millennium Green, we've got Oak and Pin, Tom Putt, Beauty of Bath and Old Somerset Russet. So we're still looking after and nurturing our heritage collection. And that's about it, really. As you can see, there's some happy people there with their apple trees. And you can see at the bottom, that's when they all first started coming into leaf in the greenhouse. So yeah, it's very exciting and it's nice to do, and it's nice to do in-house and grow things in-house and be able to share that with the community. Thank you.
Brilliant, Helen. I'll just add to that. I think that's quite an amazing project in that we prune the apple trees anyway, and then the cuttings that might otherwise just be thrown away are magically returned into new trees. And on the giveaway, I was going along outside the town hall. I saw people skipping down Park Road with their new tree. It was very popular. Thank you very much. Joe, over to you. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me? I'll give you a little bit of an overview of our nature recovery plan work, which is in the pipeline for the upcoming few months, for the coming year, and a little bit of a background why we need a nature recovery plan. So research shows that UK is the most depleted, one of the most depleted countries in the world. Sadly, we see beautiful wildlife, but actually we are quite depleted. And on average, UK species on average, in 19%, sorry, very tired brain. It's been a very, very long day. I should probably refer to my notes a bit better. So UK species have declined by an average 19% since 1970s, and almost 1 in 6 is at risk of extinction. And as part of that, only 25% of local authorities have declared ecological emergency, and only 12% have a nature recovery or nature action plan in place. And Frome Town Council has declared nature recovery, nature ecological emergency in 2021. And at that point, our existing climate emergency strategy, which was developed in 2020, was updated with some more biodiversity actions. There was more happening. For example, one example was we launched our community wildlife mapping project, to kind of see what we have in Frome and kind of see what baseline biodiversity we have, how species are actually performing, what we have in Frome, and lots of other things have been happening. So we manage our green spaces. Our lovely rangers just proved how much they manage our green spaces, not just for people, but for wildlife. There's so much biodiversity work happening, but we haven't actually got specific nature recovery plan. And in terms of going back to climate emergency, we now understand that we need to be focusing more on adaptation because of how things are progressing and how fast they're progressing. Mitigation is still really, really important, but we really need to start adapting as well. So what we've been looking at is what we've been doing in the last couple of months. We've partnered with Somerset Wildlife Trust, and as part of the Act to Adapt process, we will be looking at developing a combined climate adaptation plan and a nature recovery plan. And I'll take you through the process a little bit more. Oops, sorry. So process and the timeline. So at the moment, we kind of, in conversation with Somerset Wildlife Trust, they have developed these plans with various different parishes and different town councils. And they've got a really, really good process in place that we're going to follow with them, and they're going to help us create a plan. At the moment, we are stakeholder mapping and looking who should be in a room, who should be part of the conversation, what green groups we have in town, what climate groups we have in town, and make sure they are all involved, plus the wider community as well. And the key event that is happening and will have a massive impact of how this plan shapes is the community workshop on 13th of May. This will be led by Somerset Wildlife Trust and by Matt Mellon, who's our climate action lead, who will be leading on the climate emergency side of things, and I'll be leading on the nature recovery plan side of things. And then in the room, at that point, we're expecting probably the usual people that are involved in climate and nature work. We want wider community to be involved as well, but just to make sure that everyone is included, we will carry on with the consultation a little bit further. We'll be going out and about in events, speaking to people face to face, a little bit like we did with Green Spaces. Where we'll be doing that during the Great Big Green Week and also during Frome Carnival fundraising event. And there'll also be an opportunity to have your say and make suggestions online as well. I'm not going to take you through the whole process because we'll be updating everybody as we go along, but that's kind of the key point. And in early autumn, we're hoping to have a draft and there'll be another consultation, just getting people's views on how we're going to go about. And I don't want to be guessing what the plan's going to have. These are just some examples and ideas of what could be potentially included in a plan based on looking at the existing plans that Somerset Wildlife Trust has created for other towns and parishes, based on my work within the community and conversations I have with people that are active within the community, biodiversity groups, climate groups, of what we might actually see more and what this plan might involve. So it will be really, really community-driven and community-led. I think that's the most important part of it. And that's the idea, what we need a plan. So we're doing all this amazing biodiversity work, but the plan will be a nice way of communicating to the community of how they can get involved in nature recovery in the community, in the town. We will probably be expanding on wildlife-friendly gardening and encouraging people to garden for wildlife, because gardens and even balconies, window boxes have massive, massive potential for wildlife, and then we need to be linking them up with our green spaces. And supporting the existing groups that we have. We're lucky that we have many, many, many biodiversity groups like Somerset Bat Group, Prickles, and I would really love to have a Swift group in town, which hopefully will happen. And these are the sort of short wins that we might see in a plan, but also more ambitious, longer plans. So maybe working with landowners and farmers, encouraging more regenerative farming, and also making sort of an opportunity from biodiversity net gain policy, and there is a big opportunity for our devolved areas where we could potentially register them as assets for biodiversity net gain units purchasing by the developers. So there's massive potential there. That's pretty much what you need to know now. The most important thing is to be involved in that workshop to help shape the plan and be involved in a consultation. And there will be lots of other opportunities in the future for the community to get involved in nature recovery in town. Thank you.
I should not press any buttons. Thank you very much, Joe. We know there's a nature emergency that's been declared in 2021. UK is one of the most nature depleted countries in the world. Only 12% of local authorities have a plan. Thanks to Joe's work, Frome Town Council is going to be one of those. So really important piece of work. Thank you very much, Joe. That's great. And really going to be involving the local community, which I think, you know, it's important. It's what Frome Town Council does really well. I'm just going to finish now, and then we can open up for questions on just an update on devolution. You all know the background. I'm not going to go over the background, but it's the timeline now that we're into the fine detail. The aim is to take on the management of the sites that we've identified that we want to take on by the 1st of June. We're aiming to try to work with Somerset Council to get the legals in place that the transfers happen by the 1st of June. But even if that is delayed, and it might be, the plan is to look at getting a management agreement that will tide us over for the interim period. So come the 1st of June, we'll be the people looking after those spaces. So we've got a very clear goal. We know where we're going now. 1st of June, we will pick up all those spaces. One of the keys to enable that to happen, that expansion, you know, it's you know, taking on another 50, 60 sites, 8 play areas. That's a lot of work. We need to expand, and that's only possible with extra space. The key extra space is the depot. It looking like we're already past the heads of terms. We're into the detail of the legals. They're looking promising. It's hoped that we'll have the legals for those in place by the 1st of April. So the depot will be ours on a 25-year lease from the 1st of April. We're working with Eastern Bevins to do, there's a lot of work needed to the depot to get it up and running, but we're working with Eastern Bevins to scope that out so that come the 1st of April, we can have the tenders for those works going out. The works can start middle of April, and they can largely be finished by the 1st of June. So come the 1st of June, we'll hopefully have the depot, the sites, the second Grillo, and the idea is that we'll hit the ground running. The Ranger team have been doing a lot of work, prepping, getting ready for that. The refurbished Ranger base that some of you have seen today is part of that. And, you know, we're moving in the right direction to hit the ground running. There's bound to be a period of adjusting as we get to grips with it. We're likely to need more staff. If we genuinely feel that will come to Oversight, a business case will be done. We won't take them on unless we absolutely feel it need to be, and you guys will have the final say in that. But yeah, that is the background to the direction of travel. You know, we're in the final stages. I can see a question.
Yeah, just quickly, Rob, I take it a Grillo isn't a barbecue.
Sorry, I'm speaking jargon. A Grillo is the mower that does all the, you actually saw it briefly in Ash's video. Yeah, it's the mower. It's the mower. I think that's it really for the depot update. Sorry, devolution update for the moment. I'd like to say thank you to. Oh, it was just a snapshot. We could have gone forever. Just a snapshot, looking behind the scenes. Thank you everybody for turning up. Thank you everybody for doing your presentations. Open for questions.
Couple. In your report, you mentioned Adderwell Watermeadow, and it's been delayed a bit.
Yes.
Could you give us a quick?
Give you a quick update on that. Yeah.
And the horse while you're at it.
Yeah.
Oh, there's 5.
Yeah.
They've been busy.
So Adderwell Watermeadow, there are no red flags, and it is heading in the right direction. Yeah, I'm increasingly confident we'll actually get there. The latest, Peter and I have been working with the owners. There have been discussions around some of the details. We had agreed the heads of terms. New details appeared in the final legals. We've referred back to the initial heads of terms. Those details are now gone. We've been told it has to be sold with VAT on top, which is not going to cause us an issue because we get the VAT back. But it's another step that the owners hadn't told us they need to do. So but it's heading in the right direction. So that's really promising. The community woodlands, the field and spring gardens, We have had a number of conversations and even a face-to-face on-site meeting with the horse owner. There's a difference of view about the legal status of those horses. Conversations are kind of moving towards the end of where we can get to just with conversation. Really hopeful that we can find a way of moving forwards without intervention, but intervention has to be a potential option if there isn't any agreement. So we're moving towards the final stage. I would anticipate in April there being an end to that phase. Yeah. Any more?
Have you finished? Can I say absolutely brilliant work, really inspiring work you do. I've kind of since I've been a councillor, kind of always look out for rangers. I like the fact you all wear a uniform. Sorry if you don't like wearing it. I wish you'd actually also have something out that said rangers at work or something like that, because the number of people who will walk past and just see activity and maybe be a bit shy about approaching you, but it's extraordinary. And you don't just make places look better, but you actually turn them into places that are much better for biodiversity. I do quite a lot of very dull running and cycling around the town, so I see lots of different sites, and they're amazing. What I would love us to get to a point is where almost the town centre and the sort of nearby residential areas become almost overgrown with plants, almost like there's been a kind of another COVID thing and everyone's, everything's just grown up and taken over. I know Joe, I think, has been doing some conversation around places like Redland Terrace in Keyford on my ward, where there's just hard pavement all the way down and kids go to school every day through there, just to make those places more beautiful, more attractive, with things growing in it, and butterflies and bees would be amazing. But just it's really wonderful. I'm really, really proud to be associated with the council, and you will need more staff.
Thank you very much, Nick. Just to pick up a project that Joe's leading on, which is the Pocket Meadows, which is doing the meadow flowers that you see in Mary Bailey, and Joe's working to see if that can be extended out across not just the patches of land that we own. So that's a really great project. You'll need the microphone so people online can hear you.
Piling the Pocket Meadow project, which is in partnership with Meadow in My Garden. And so far, I think 6 or 7 community groups adopted a Pocket Meadow. So you'll see more pollinators and more flowers in the next couple of months.
And I love swifts. Screaming swifts are the sort of sign of summer, so I'd be very happy to be involved in that.
Yeah, brilliant.
Good to know.
2 things. First of all, sort of what he said, I'll do it the other way, because I was going to say very similar. So one thing, I've actually said it in a previous Oversight meeting, but I'm going to say it as you're both in the room now. Every time I see Amanda, she says how brilliant Asha and Mark are at engaging with the students of Frome College. She is always singing your praises, and you have done such a brilliant job. And Asha, particularly being a woman, and the girls really looking up to you. And I just think it's brilliant what you've done there. And then the other thing I was going to sort of, so I don't know, it kind of fits in with everything, and it fits in with the player bit as well, is I think there is also a thing where lots of people feel like sort of nature isn't for them, and there's sort of a bit of a barrier. And I think obviously with being in a town it's a bit different, but I do sort of wonder, sort of the community groups, I'm sort of thinking, is that the sort of the community groups are already sort of active and sort of already sort of doing stuff, and it's the same sort of areas that we sort of know about? And it's like, how can we sort of get some more sort of into sort of the parts of Frome that aren't as attractive at the moment? And I know devolution is sort of going to help with that, and there'll be other bits there. And then and how to get more people sort of engaging in our parks and our play and our open spaces and in biodiversity, who are, I hate using the phrase usual suspects, but I don't know what else to say there, but those who might feel that there's more of a barrier to sort of getting involved. And I just think that's really important as well. And I know that, part of the devolution space is that it goes up into areas where there isn't a lot of stuff at the moment, but I just think it's really important to think about that.
I think certainly devolution is going to take us into doing community engagement in areas where traditionally we haven't been involved. So there will be a big step change, I think, in where we reach, and then that will take us the next few years, and then we can progress from there.
I don't know which bit it fits into. Maybe it fits in the adaptation strategy, but also food resilience strategy as well. I think there's a number of councillors who are really keen on that as well in terms of allotments and community gardens, etc. My favourite topic. But yeah, just if that could kind of be included in that bit of work, it does make sense because yeah.
All good.
Okay, any more for Rob? Are you expecting all our rangers to stay now whilst we get into the...
It's entirely up to them. I think
they're
going to stay, but it's up to them. Apart from Asher, who's already left.
Who's going to be brave enough?
Okay, can I just before we move on, I just want to say thank you to the staff and the councillors who came up to the ranger base earlier, and Jay and all the rangers for making that happen. That's really great for everyone who came. And the second thing, I'd just like to say, I thought the video you knocked it out the park. I really thought that was just absolutely amazing. I know a lot of work went into that, so I'm going to say a big thank you for that. That's us done.
Okay. His voiceover. Rob, are you going to stay on your foot for the next one?
I'm not sure the order. Is it me? Right, me again.
You again, yeah. Sorry.
I'm sorry, everybody.
Expect you to stand up a bit.
You can all sigh now.
You can do it from a reclining position if you...
Okay, so management plans. We're doing a review of basically all the management plans, and we'll take them in order well, we've done the most high profile first, but it will be rolled out. So what we're talking about today are the management plans for Victoria Park, Mary Bailey, but we're also talking about this is a format that will be rolled out across other sites. The amount of information that there is for Vic Park and Mary Bailey is more than you'll see on other sites. So it won't be this long for other sites. But what I wanted to do is I'm not going to take you through the 21 pages of Vic Park and 14 pages. I'm so sorry. But what I thought I would take you through is basically the process. I just want to share the process, and that explains the format. I thought I would just share a couple of interesting historical insights, but it's the process that I want to really go into. So if that's all right, I'll just crack on with that. This is what we have at the moment. It's a one-page summary of the site. Its main sort of aspirations in terms of managing for amenity, biodiversity, landscape. But it's light on detail, and in some ways that's great because you want people to be able to digest, and we do plan to do a one-page summary of these so that there is something that people can get on the website that's easy to get into. But there isn't a lot of detail, and there aren't the principles for deciding of all the possible things you could do, which are the things you should do. So we're moving from that, and I just want to explain really what the process is. So there's basically 3 steps in this management plan. The first is like a stock take. What have we got? What are the crown jewels? What is special about the site? So where are we now? What makes the site special now? And then the beating heart of it is, where do we want to go? What's the vision? What's the aspiration? So where do we want to take these special sites? That's sort of stage 2. And then, really importantly, especially for the team here today, is the map. How do we get to that, promised land? How do we get to where we really want to go? So those are the 3 steps in the management plan. There's a lot of detail, but those are the steps. So the site description, there's lots of individual bits to the physical side. There's also a lot of work was done on engagement to look at what people like, what they don't like. Why people come, why people don't come, what are the barriers? That's a really interesting aspect of that. That's all summarised in a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threat. And that goes into the vision, and the vision has the council plan as its heart. Overarching everything we do is the council plan. And then out of all of that comes the vision. Those 2 sentences, if you like, are the lens through which everything that we do should be looked through, so that it feeds into a coordinated reason for managing those sites. And from the vision, you get the specific aims. So the aims are what we actually want to do to move the site in the right direction. And then from those, we can take it right down to the map and the objectives. There's obviously a costed work programme that you guys vote on every year. Finally, that feeds into the reviews that we do on a seasonal basis, on a weekly basis, on a fortnightly basis, where we review what works we're doing with the trees on site, what's the seasonal projects, what is the weekly work programme. We have a Monday morning meeting. Jay's always reviewing this on a day-to-day basis. But that's, if you like, the overarching thing. Why are we doing this? It's so that we can understand where we want to go and how we want to get there. That's really the point of it. There's a fourth stage, which is how do you know you've got there? And that's a review. And the suggestion is that we bring this to council every 2 years. The vision's not going to really change. The aims probably won't change too much. The site description probably won't change too much, but the objectives absolutely will change. So we can do an update on all the objectives listed. Did we achieve, you know, you can hold me to account. Did we achieve all those things? What are the next, so every 2 years? That's the sort of plan on that. Right, so there's some interesting historical snippets if we want them. Do people want to ask any questions around, because that's really the heart of tonight in terms of the format. Andy.
So I appreciate the level of detail that each of these will go into, but I've also always liked that one-page snapshot.
100%.
And I've also campaigned for some time with the idea that each site should have a visible QR code that somebody can scan and just bring up that one-page information.
Great idea.
You know, as they're going around. I think the technology's there. We just ain't implemented it yet.
Right, we absolutely want to do the one-page summary. You know, that will definitely be part of this. We wanted to get this out today so we could vote on it. And great idea, QR code. Yeah, like that idea.
Well, congratulations, you've actually managed to provide too much detail even for me, which is probably a first. So like that is saying something. I think that's the first time I've said that. I just want to say, I think I love, and I also just, you know, I love all the history and stuff. I do feel like the what I've read, like the plans are very much weighted very much towards where we are now. And actually to me, it felt a little bit thin on the vision and the aims, and actually, and it sort of feels a little bit cold. I was actually thinking whether sort of like, you know, like a montage of like photos or something that could kind of bring it to life a bit more.
Yeah.
And also, I am aware that we've got the play strategy, we're sort of going to have a nature recovery plan, we've got climate management, we've got all these different plans and strategies. It's like, how do we sort of make sure that everything's sort of connecting up? And because I was just sort of reading the one for, I don't know which one I'm on now. What am I on? Oh, that's Victoria Park. And it doesn't actually mention the play strategy or play in there at all. And that feels like a bit of a sort of, in the sort of the vision and the aims. And I just sort of feel that it must be a way to sort of connect things up a bit more. And I would just like to see more on the vision and the aims.
Sure.
To kind of get that real sense.
What they say about management plans is they're never finished. The moment you've written one, you're doing the next one, you're doing the updates. Absolutely, we can absolutely do more creatively on the vision side. I don't think it was possible to build that in as well as all the other, but why not? Absolutely, we can get more creative. I think this is, this is first base, and then we'll just build and build and build. Yeah, great ideas. Yes.
Thanks for. Love reading about the whole sort of the history, really, of certainly of Vicky Park. And I just wonder if we've got a notice board or something up there, we could do a montage of the history for other residents.
Yes.
I'm sure they don't know the full history either. I mean, everyone knows.
We thought in the management plan is to put up some of these historic photos in the location they were taken, with a little bit of background to them. It speaks to what Andy was just saying as well, having a QR code where you could pull it up. There is, in the management plan, having a welcome board for Victoria Park. What is there? What are the site rules? There's a lot of need for both those things. So the aim is to do that. And that will be done. I can't say exactly when, but it will be done. Working with the comms team on that now. Yeah.
Just while we're talking Mary Bailey.
Yes.
what's the current status of the skate park
Yes.
development?
Sure.
Have we got planning permission? Do you know?
Yeah, so the situation with the skate park is that is such a big project that we are working up plans that we will bring to council. So we've got an idea of how it could work. We're going to test the details of that with the public, and then we're going to bring a project for your consideration, either to Oversight or possibly because of the scale of it to full council, but it will come to council in June. So because of the scale of that, that's going to be a separate project. I can go into more. It's a separate project.
That's fine.
Yeah. Just to pick up the play strategy, that's really important. It's probably more important for Mary Bailey than it is for Victoria Park. Victoria Park is more a space for gathering and socialising. We have got play in the proposals for Victoria Park. For instance, there's a ping pong table proposed near the cafe that the cafe would help us manage, an outdoor permanent ping pong table, and sculpture trail and tree trail. So we want to make certainly education and to an extent play, more thermoplastic just at the entrances where people can play. But it's particularly relevant for Mary Bailey. It was great to hear Fiona talking about co-design and bringing new people in, especially teenagers. And I'm not going to steal Nikki's thunder, but that's very, very much on the radar for Mary Bailey. Although exactly where we do that is up for discussion. Any more? I've got slides if we want them on the history, but any more on the meat?
We've got everybody can have a look at this. It's you can click through into all that. I mean, I've been looking at this for days now. It's absolutely, the work that's gone into this is immense. We do have 3 recommendations. Are we happy to proceed the recommendations? Do we know enough about the new format of the management plans, the management plan for Mary Bailey?
I want to do my history.
And the management.
Can I not? Can I just quickly?
Oh, go on then.
Right. Okay. I thought this is an interesting one. How do you know you've done a good event? You know you've done a good event when the local newspaper writes it up like this. This is Coronation of George V, 1911, when the Prime Minister of New South Wales came because James Matra, who he was born in New York, but he lived in Frome. And Matraville is just to the south of Sydney. It's there. And Prime Minister of New South Wales came, planted a tree, which is by the bandstand. You can see the plaque now. And 7,000 people came to Victoria Park. And this is what the local, I was going to say rag, I shouldn't say rag, should I? But the local paper wrote up. So one of the most picturesque and memorable scenes ever witnessed in Frome. A red letter day for Frome and will be writ large in the annals of the town. One of the grandest and prettiest demonstrations of patriotism ever seen in Frome. Enthusiastic cheers from thousands of throats swept over the vast gathering like a great wave, increasing in volume as it produced and vibrating until lost in its echoes. Now, you know you've done a good event when that is... I was just taken... I was just taken with that. And then, just quickly on Victoria Park...
Really quickly. Rob, what I said about the history, forget it, mate, forget it, yeah.
This is how it was. Right, this is how it was. Here's a view from there. Look, no bowls club, no pitch and putt, nothing. Look, there you go. That's fascinating, isn't it? And here is the 1 horsepower Grillo that the Rangers don't realise. This is what we're getting. Okay, all right, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done.
And the Oscar goes to. Okay, we've got recommendations. Do we know enough to make a decision on the recommendations, including the history? So, do we adopt the new format, adopt the management plan for Mary Bailey, and adopt the management plan for Victoria Park? Proposed by Nick, seconded by Anne. Vote. Thank you. Phew, well done, Ron.
Stay where you are. Yeah. Oh, no. Me again. Sorry, guys. Right.
Well, I can remember.
Funny you should ask.
I can remember the history of this one. Not.
Yeah, you probably, yeah. Okay, so, right, changing the tone slightly. So, Henley Way, we've got a problem, as you all know. The problem with Henley Way is that the woods is dying. We've already taken down the steps about 6 months ago because they were dead. Yeah, this is on its last legs, literally. You know, it's going to have to go in a couple of months. It's risky. It's, you know, we survey it all the time, but you can see, you know, on some of these photos, you know, the wood's going. So what do we do? Well, originally the plan was, well, we'll just replace like for like, obviously, because it's a well-loved, well-used. We'll get another ramp. The problem with getting another ramp is the cost. Pure and simple. We've tried getting a national tender for a wooden ramp. We've tried getting quotes for metal ramps. They all come in at around £120,000. And the feeling was there just isn't the appetite to spend £120,000. You know, I mean, we would dearly love there to be a ramp, but at some point you have to bring in the cost to it. So I've taken a steer from some of the councillors on what should we do in terms of exploring options, and that's what I'm bringing for you guys to review tonight. So if we can't do, I mean, basically there's three options. One is close it, so nobody has access. I mean, that's equitable, but nobody has access. The other is find 120,000, and the third option would be, okay, what about just steps? It's not ideal. One thing you could do with steps is you could put them where the old steps were, and that would leave space for the ramp at some point to go back. So by putting in steps, it isn't closing the door on a ramp. It's never going to be easy to do a ramp, but you know, it is a possibility. So that's the option that's been explored tonight that we can review. So that's what I'm going to explore. So that just, you all know where it is, so I won't dwell on that. Obviously, if we're going to, nobody wants to do this, if we're going to take a ramp away and put steps in place, there's obvious implications for people with mobility who are less mobile. In terms of the, you know, legislation's a key part of this. In terms of the legislation, you absolutely need a very clear reason for doing that. And if you have to do it, not only do you need a clear reason, you need to demonstrate that you've done what you can to provide a reasonable alternative. So we've put a lot of focus on that. Emily from the communities team has done a fantastic job in guiding us on, you know, what the legislation is and linking us with a disability group from Bristol who've come out and they've done an audit. And basically, there is another way to get, as you know, to get to where the roundhouse is, and that's going on the side where the tarmac is underneath the railway bridge, past the play areas. You know, the downsides to that is obviously it's longer, it's obviously a different route, and with the review, the audit review, the access review, we've come up with a series of actions. It is really helpful to see the same path that you know very well through the eyes of people who are less mobile. There's clearly things we can and we should and we will do to improve the access. But you can get there. You know, there's no doubt you can get to the other side. It's longer, it's about 150 metres longer, and there's things we can do to improve the access. But is there a viable alternative access? Yes, there is. Albeit with lots of work that we should do on signage, on improving benches, in improving the surface. There's plenty of things we can do to improve the access, but even as it stands, you can get there. So from a legal point of view, the judgment is it's allowable to do this. Obviously, it impacts people who would like to go either from the town centre to the roundhouse directly, or, as we know, people like to do a circular walk. And people with either with pushchairs or people from the retirement home nearby, it's going to mean some people can't do that, and that is very unfortunate. But we're in this quandary. The ramp's going. It's, you know, it's one of those situations where, okay, so this is not the ideal, but this is what we've looked at. So that's where it would go. The steps used to be there. The new steps would be there. The ramp would be able to be redesigned at some point. These are some of the suggestions for how you make the steps more accessible that the disability group gave us. We'll do all these things. We'll make it, as if we do this, we'll do it in the most accessible way possible. Yeah, I mean, so that's really it, really. It's you know, far from ideal, but you know, we've got those three options, which it's over to you guys, really. Yeah,
Andy, then Fiona.
Sorry.
So that shows just steps down. Traveling around Europe, I quite often see flights of steps which have got like a channel, so you can at least easily push a push bike or something, or ideally enough to do a, you know, baby in a pushchair without it going bump, 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 bump all the way down. Is that very much more expensive?
I asked that of the companies that have given us quotes. Neither of them thought that that was possible in this situation. So, and it's going to, the stairs are going to be, there's 2 meter drop, and it's going to be to make them accessible. You don't want them, you could have them really long, but that suddenly increases the cost. So the angle is going to be fairly steep for that. I don't know how easy it would be to do. So I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, I think everyone knows I have quite strong feelings about this. I go down these steps 3 or 4 times a day probably, and I do that loop numerous times a day. Actually, it's my little have a break from work, go out my house and walk around. So first of all, you're like, yeah, I've been getting quite nervous going down them recently, to be honest. So quite pleased that they do need to be condemned. You can kind of see them breaking, although rangers have done a great job at kind of keeping them up and running. I just feel I understand the position, and I understand that you've looked at everything, and I do understand it. I just really hate it, and I think that it's not just about disability, but it's also, you know, I know that lots of like young mums use that circuit with their pushchairs, and it's the circuit element of it. It's not just about having access to things; it's also the enjoyment of it. I understand it's really expensive. We're taking on a load of new open spaces through devolution, but to me, like managing the spaces that we own is like one of the core things that we do, and is really, really important. And I think it should be a priority.
There is the potential to put a ramp there.
Yeah, I just don't know when when are we, you know.
It has to take a reality check on, you know, with all that's coming our way. When will that be a top priority? It is a top priority, but when would it actually get to the top of the list to do? But yeah.
So the difference in steps and difference in steps and ramp is about £100,000, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe slightly less, 90.
So Sarah, would we, if we decided to do that, where would the money come from?
It would come from general reserves. So if our minimum at the moment is supposed to be 350, it would take it down to 260, 250. I don't know what the surplus is going to be from this year's spend. I should know more in a couple of weeks.
But we would have to replace that, is what we're saying.
You would have to top it up again over the next year or two, yes.
Which would mean an increase in the precept.
I can't guarantee that. It might come from savings elsewhere.
Okay. Nick?
I'm not agreeing with Fiona on this, I'm afraid. We have to disagree. I mean, I think we've looked at every possible scenario. It's a lovely space. Yeah, nice to do a circular walk, but you can equally do a very nice walk there and back. Frome has got lots of lovely places, and it's also got lots of places that are inaccessible to people in wheelchairs. You know, it's a medieval town in the centre. So I think it's a lovely space, and I think it's an absolute, if you're allowed to say it anymore, no-brainer to go for just the steps and leave a possible ramp for later.
Okay, so, yeah, go on, Steve.
Yeah, I sort of think the steps and then the ramp later. And then maybe, as Sarah said, you know, look where we are in 6 or 9 months' time on underspend, or hopefully some underspend, and see if there is money available, then maybe look at ramps. The only other thing I'd say is, could we put some nice signs up for people so that they can to route them around if they want to get to the other side in a wheelchair?
That's one of the recommendations,
Right.
loud and clear from the from the disability report, or the from the access report. Sign at the moment, the signage is not good.
Yeah.
If you turn up in the Cheese and Grain car park, there's no way that you would think, oh, I'll just head over towards that corner by the canoe club for my walk. You just wouldn't do that, because there's nothing to suggest you should. And then when you're going there, how would you know that this leads to where you want to? Yeah, all those things are really important. So
Great.
we'll work on that.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you.
Yeah, Steve and I accompanied you and others on this access walk the other day, and there were lots of quite quick wins that we could do just by surfacing or signage or just putting armrests on benches, all sorts of things. But the big expense would be the ramp, and so the recommendations, I think I'll move on to those, are to approve the change in access at Henley Way from a ramp to stairs, to just steps with the option of installing a ramp. So what that means is the footings will still be left in place for the ramp, and if we find some money from somewhere, we can always do it in the future. So, and the second recommendation is to approve the spending of 40,000 on the project as set out in the work programme. Would anyone like to propose the steps and spending the budget? Nick would like to propose that. Would anyone like to second it? Anne will second it, and we will vote.
Majority.
So Fiona, are you against or abstaining? Abstain. I understand, I do. No, that's good. Thank you. That's fine. So that's passed and noted. Thank you very much. I think that's the end of the outdoor stuff, isn't it? Yeah. So if anybody does want to leave at this stage, I'm giving you options all the way through the night. Okay. All right, so now we're going to go on to Lucy, who's going to talk to us, give us an update on the marketing and communications work programme. Thank you, Lucy.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to say I think that the Ranger team are sung heroes, because we love singing about them, because it's completely uncontentious. Whatever you say about the Rangers, everyone goes, lovely. So we like a bit of that. So I'm just going to go through a bit of it's just an update, this one, so I will be as brief as I can, but I'm a bit fascinated by this, I suppose. So does that work? There we go. So because it's changed a little bit in the last year, I'll go back to just a brief rundown of the team. Rachel is our leader. She's in charge, our brand guardian, in charge of strategy and insight, and she line manages all of us. And for reasons I'd never fully understood, she also line manages Sean and Cheryl and Steve. And then there's me. So the only full-time members of our team are Rachel, me and Amber. The rest of the people are part-time. I lead on press and broadcast media and some of our events and the FTC website. Laura is with us 3 days a week. She leads on our social media on FTC. She does the Free Matters newsletter and the town hall marketing. Miles works 20 hours a week and does artwork and ticketing, and everyone knows that Miles is a brilliant designer. What you might not know is Miles is also a brilliant writer and also got a real technical brain, so they're a real asset to our team. Amber came to us as an intern before I started, 2023. and has stayed because she's brilliant. She looks after Discover Froome. She's our marketing and tourism assistant now in a permanent role. She does the community groups newsletter, and she's currently working on the markets. We didn't have an intern this year, but we have had some work experience students from Froome College, and we've currently got lovely Olivia doing some brilliant admin work with us, helping Matt with Melon with some of his projects. Nikki works 4 days a week. She looks after open spaces bookings. She does the steward rota. She looks after the borrowing calendar for community groups, for our gazebos and chairs and stuff. She looks after the weddings, and she is the person you need to provide order when there is chaos. Nobody packs a box like Nikki. And then we've got Trish, who works 5 hours a week looking after Discover Froome volunteers. So our comms, I suppose you could say, have to be in lots of ways because our audience is everyone. So we do segment our audience, as all marketing teams do, but to understand them rather than to target them. Most of the time we are spreading our net as widely as possible to catch as many people as we can where they are.
So we do everything everywhere all at once. So that could be letter drops, posters, print media. It could be digital stuff like social media, web, use Ticket Tailor for ticketing, surveys, Facebook groups, and newsletters, ours and other people's, films and images too. So it's proof of concept. We do it for a variety of things. Some are our events, other people's events, and other things. And we all multitask. So the idea is, because some of us are part-time, some of us are not in the office, the idea is you can always walk into the comms office and somebody will be able to help you. So I hope that's true. Tell us if it isn't. The next slide is some of the amazing things that Miles has made in the last year. I think they've made 72 pieces of collateral. So Miles is brilliant at bringing to life the work that the council does. So we've got the Living Well in Frome leaflet, and the management plans that Rob's been talking about, and the dashboards, which brought to life an enormous data set that the engagement team pulled together over the past year, and the census data from locality. So Miles turned that into a load of user-friendly, easy to look at things that we used publicly, we used with staff and councillors, to just spread the word about what the council does, as we do with all of our projects. Okay, social media. All of our platforms have seen a steady, healthy growth. So the lower one is our following in 2024, and that's how much it's grown in the last year. We have noticed, and I think it's been noticed across the board, that Meta is penalising or changing the algorithm about how it deals with content. We have noticed a bit of a slip in our likes and follows, but not in our click-throughs. And our website metrics also show that people are definitely clicking through from our social media to the website. So socials remain a really good use of our time and a really valuable way to connect with our audience. Sometimes it can get a bit feisty on Facebook. So what we always try to do is to be very transparent in the first place. It's why we use a lot of quotes from all of you here. And if we've done our job, even if the thread gets feisty, as it sometimes does with some of the more contentious issues, we don't usually need to intervene. Somebody will do it for us, and they will quote the press release back into the thread. So that seems to be working really well. We only answer questions if we're asked a direct question or we're tagged. Otherwise, we tend to stay out of it because it's not always the most rewarding thing. Our newsletter engagement is excellent. It's slightly disingenuous of me to put the things that we've put in the report about our open rate to like 58 to 60%, which is very high. But that's over a UK average of 18%, I think it is. But that includes people trying to sell you something. So our newsletters, if you live in Frome and you get a newsletter from us, there's a really high chance it's relevant to you. So we do get excellent open rates, excellent click rates, very low unsubscribe rates. So one of the key things for our processes that we're looking at is how to grow those audiences, and we're going to try and involve councillors in that, so that every opportunity we're trying to get people to sign up to those newsletters, because as a captive, engaged audience, they are really powerful ways of communicating. There we go. There's a bad comms joke that the best place to hide a body is on the second page of a Google search. And happily, that's never a problem for us. Our websites perform really, really well. Our average engagement time is 55 to 60 seconds across both sites. You can see that Discover Frome has the lion's share of our page views over the past year, mostly with the what's on, as you'd expect. But our FTC site also does really well and has grown steadily through the last year. We don't have full data for 2023-24 because Google Analytics changed all of their metrics in July 2023. So we've only got 9 months of data. So we'll have a different set next year. But it shows that our site is very well used. It's also a trusted source of information, and people look to Frome Town Council for listings, whether that's something about what we're doing or whether it's something like Frome Festival. People are going to Discover Frome to find out what Frome Festival events are on. So all the effort that Amber puts into keeping those listings up to date and trawling the internet for things that should be on there, it's really worthwhile and it's really valued by our audience. And as I said, some things that can be slightly more contentious, the School Streets page was the 8th most visited page last year, with 2,630 views, which shows that all the effort we're putting into it is driving people to the page and that people are using it. So some people are going there for their information. They're not just staying on Facebook. There you go. Any questions about any of that?
Thank you, Lucy.
Sorry, AI. We're going to say we're looking at ways to integrate AI to make our lives easier. My Gen X soul is really resistant to it, but I think for some things it can be really useful, specifically things like all the data I pulled together for this report. I do the metrics weekly and monthly, and it I know that actually if we could get it set up, I could do all of that for it and send it to me on a Monday or on the first day of the month, and then we could step back and look at it and use it much more clearly for strategy, and it would free up a lot of time. It's also really good for crunching data from the surveys.
I just want to say, first of all, brilliant presentation, really good, really clear. Diagrams were so, it was really nice to see it in a really digestible format. I think we've sort of, I don't know, I see sort of some of the behind the scenes stuff, and sometimes it takes me a little while to kind of get my head around it and understand what I'm seeing. So just brilliant presentation. And also just so I'm really pleased that we're doing experimenting a little bit and doing things like A/B testing, that I completely agree with you about newsletters, that they've always been gold standard, and sort of looking at how we can get more people onto them, and just sort of looking a bit with fresh eyes at things. It's just really good to see, and I'm really pleased. And I think I love A/B testing because you just really do find out what works. So it's great.
Any more?
Things when you try two different things. So you have some people will see a video on social media, and some people will see a still image, and you can see which one gets more clicks or more views or more anything.
Something young people do, Steve.
And video tends to do better.
Thanks, Lucy. Are you staying on your feet for the event?
Staying, yes, for the next one.
Thank you. Now we're going to, for a decision, we're going to look at the events upcoming for the year.
Yeah, so I was here in January talking about the events that were coming up, which are now all just happened, and they're all on the list for next year. So that's one of the things we're asking you to consider keeping in. So I would say the events at FTC sort of fall into three loose categories. There are FTC events like this, or like the hustings, or the 50th anniversary celebration. And then there are what I would call semi-autonomous events, where we are heavily involved in the planning and the logistics. We're there on the day to help deliver it, things like the wassail. And then fully autonomous events, so where we work just as a loudspeaker, just amplifying, and there's still a lot of work involved in that. Like Amber spends a lot of time putting things on Discover Froome. We all will, share social media posts. We'll include it in our press releases, but they are standalone events. They run themselves. And in the report that we're asking you to agree to today, we are suggesting some new events to refresh the content of our events calendar, but they are all things that we wouldn't run ourselves. And then the third group, I would say, are wider team projects, so things like us supporting the things that people are up to, so the engagement teams building a picture of our town, Green and Healthy Froome, and the School Streets project. This is the one that, can you press play? I haven't done loads of slides for this, I've just done some photos to scroll. So the recent events that I spoke about last time, which we're all hoping will be back, the Donate IT was their best ever tech amnesty, I think, went really well. Simon was very happy with the amount of press coverage he got. That's a no-brainer, the Donate IT, people love having it. It doesn't take any time to run, and it's always a success, and we've had good weather every time. So the wassail, you might notice that we've put in a bit more money and time. That is because I feel like we should be braver with it, because we're sort of guaranteed the footfall. We don't do a huge amount of events in Waylands, and it would be nice to presume the footfall and do a bit more. So the crafts that Asher and Helen did, no, Tony, they went down really well. So my idea is to have a run of food stalls, not have everyone waiting a million years for cider, more food, more refreshments, and on the other side, more of a craft and, whittling and fun stuff. And the wassail still happening at the centre of it, try and broaden it out to a wider audience. We've put in quite a lot more money, but that is speculative. I wonder whether it might actually cost less, because at the moment we want the event to remain free, but we will charge people if we have more stalls. So it might even end up costing less. It came in at about £350 without staff time this year. International Women's Day event was a really good day. Fiona and Anne can both talk more about that than I can. There's lots of work to continue from that, which we'll bring to you at a later date, including some ideas for Froome becoming a white ribbon town. The Window Wonderland was another great success. Our windows look beautiful thanks to the Wild Bunch doing our pollinator display, so that's something we'd definitely like to keep being involved with. Kindness Festival, despite their Facebook page getting hacked the day before the festival, which was really mean of somebody and the opposite of kindness. They had a really good week, and we loved being part of it. So we had our spring clean event and Froome busks as part of that, which really enjoyed, went really well. I was in Ireland, so I managed to miss two of my favourite events of the year, which is a shame. So I think we have had feedback and we thought ourselves that we need to refresh and innovate our events calendar, but we are already very busy. So that's part of the reason why we've come up with the events that are in front of you today. So one of them is a photography exhibition to replace the calendar events that we did for Refugee Week last year, like a series of smaller events, with a photography exhibition, an awareness event delivered with Froome Welcomes Refugees and a Welcome Hub. So that would be bringing over 2 war photographers called Zoya Shu from Ukraine and Jakub Lakta, a Czech photographer, excuse my pronunciation. And so the money would be to bring them over and to support the event. So that would be 10 days of staff time and £2,000, although Rachel is confident that we could probably get some funding towards the cost of that. The next one is one that Nick will definitely know more about than I do, because I didn't really know a lot about it before I started doing the presentation. Is the road closure Saturdays for Palmer Street. So some of the businesses on Palmer Street have indicated that they would like to turn it into like a little pavement cafe area, no traffic, lots of people milling about to bring visitors in. That's a live conversation, to have like a continental cafe experience in the middle of Froome. So we need to talk, there's still traders to talk to, and it's up in the air, but a lot of the people we've spoken to so far have seemed very keen. That is 20 days of staff time and £4,000. But my understanding, Nick, am I right, is that the upfront cost is for the road closure, which would be in perpetuity. So
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, we could close the road every day, but we'll close it Saturdays in the summertime. So it will be cheaper in future years. Then there's a Catherine Hill fashion show, which is an external organiser, which is the idea to have what Rachel called a moving catwalk, which I think means a fashion show that moves its way down the clothes traders on Catherine Hill. That is much lower work for us. Rachel's estimated it would be 3 days and £500, and the external organiser has been to talk about it. So that is something that we would just amplify, really, just use our channels to, as we said, because we have a very loud voice with those. There are a proposal for free family events at Froome Festival, which again would be completely autonomous. Froome Festival would organise and run them. We would just fund it and use our channels to promote it. So it'd be art and theatre things for children. The idea is to provide more low-income activities for families as part of the Froome Festival. Another one that Nick will definitely know more about is the Froome Visitor Economy Conference and Hospitality Open House. This is just speculative for now. We'll come back to Oversight when we have more detail, but the idea is to bring together Froome's businesses and hospitality and tourism organisations for a conference, and it's like a shop window of Froome as a visitor destination. Other things that are in the pipeline are a VE Day event, which is already, the press release has gone out this week for something on the 8th of May to celebrate 80th anniversary of VE Day. But they also want to do an event in September, which we would support, and we work quite closely with it's the same team as the Remembrance Parade, so it's very much a partnership, and they do a lot of the legwork. You'll notice from the schedule there's been date changes for the 2 cycling events planned this year, the Cobble Wobble and the Catherine Hill Climb. Those are now in September and October. I can't remember which way around that is. And there's an idea for, in a similar vein to the Froome Festival family events, at the Carnival Fun Day and the Children's Festival, to have a Find Oasis, which is like a free wellbeing events, so which will be used, could be used flexibly in other places around the town. There is a proposed change to the Christmas events this year. We don't know what that's going to be yet. Basically, the police said that we couldn't have the event as it was because there were too many people. So it probably won't be radically different, but that is something we'll bring to Council Oversight at a later date. There you go. So that's my last slide. So you're being asked to note the changes to the upcoming events in the table, which are marked in purple in your pack, and agree the additions and changes that I've just been talking about.
Thanks, Lucy. Can I ask why it takes 16 days to organise the Remembrance Day parade?
That's a question for Rachel. I don't know.
No, I don't.
But I suppose there's a lot. We tend to rewrite the press release and spend a lot of time organising first aiders. I don't know why it's 16 days.
Yeah, because
Doesn't that also include toil on the day, though?
There are a lot of staff that come along.
So I think that's possibly where some of it comes from.
Because there's an awful lot going on, isn't there?
Mm.
Is it too much?
I think, like I was saying, because it's proof of concept, because we do it all the time. They're quite well-oiled wheels. So although almost adding an event isn't adding isn't doubling the work, because we all do those things all the time. So it's just.
And I think you've got to say yes attitude, which is great.
do
But I think we
have a-
probably do need to
can
keep an eye on that.
I think that's why Rachel's specifically designed the new events to be quite big things and quite fresh things, but that we're supporting rather than leading on.
Okay. Fiona?
I just want to say, first of all, I wanted to thank you, Lucy, particularly for the International Women's Day event, Violence Against Women and Girls, because, I mean, 4 very passionate female councillors, you did a brilliant job. I'll just leave it at that, and yeah. And I just think that was a sort of an example of us sort of doing something a bit different. I think we all felt it was a bit risky. There was a sort of a bit of a nervousness, I think, amongst a number of us beforehand, like, you know, I was sort of, you know, gaming everything through in my head, all the different things that could go wrong, and I know you were as well. And there was a real sort of sense of, oh, this is a really big, serious, difficult, nuanced, knotty conversation that we're going to try and have. But actually, it was brilliant, and it's one of the things that I'm most proud of having done here and been a part of. And it was such an amazing thing to do, and it seems to sort of, yeah, like kickstarted a whole load of things. You know, many of them we're not involved in at all. Although I'm aware I've got an action that I haven't done anything on, but you know, there's like, and it just felt really positive to have, to tackle a big conversation and to do it in a way that actually felt really like good for everyone in the room. So yeah, supportive. Yeah, and us being in that convener role, and you know, we made it very clear this is not just about us doing things, but it's for everyone to have actions, and I just think it was great. So thank you.
I think that came out, didn't it? Actually, people did
Yeah,
want to do things. It
they
wasn't
did.
everyone going, great, go on then.
Yeah, it wasn't just like, oh, well, that's a good thing for Town Council to do. It was like, oh, well, I'll take that, I'll do that, I'll organise that, I've got that list, and that's something for, you know, this organisation or that organisation. Yeah, it was really good. And I'm really tired this evening. So Rachel told me about some of the plans for the VE Day, and I remember thinking it was really cool. I can't remember anything more than that, but there's something really exciting that she was saying, and I can't remember what it is, but it was really creative, and I was like, oh, that's different. I can't remember, but...
Just quickly, and I'm sure this is one that we'd need to go back to Rachel for the detail, but I'm surprised that we're talking about 20 days of staff time for the Palmer Street road closure, given that it's meant to be, you know, the local business community that's supporting and benefiting from that.
I don't know how Rachel calculated that figure, but I suppose that it would be getting it set up, meetings and things, and then once it would run itself, I think is the idea. Once it's we wouldn't even be there to close the roads.
Yeah.
The business would manage that themselves.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to the recommendations. We need to note the changes, the upcoming changes, which are the ones in purple for those who've read it, and agree the additions and changes to the programme. So thank you, Anne, thank you, Fiona. Unanimous, marvellous. Thank you for all that, Lucy. Sarah, you're up, talking finance.
Just to say the paper's gone out. This is a checklist from the internal auditor. He had 3 items that needed to be recorded and 1 for council to approve the disposal of assets. So if there's no questions.
Any questions on the finances? There's normally somebody who does a deep dive into forensic accounting. Fiona, no, nothing? Yeah.
Marvellous.
You're done, you're done. So recommendations, appoint Sarah as a responsible finance officer, adopt the investment policy, note the parish remuneration panel report, and approve the disposal of assets. And the unanimous, thank you. Yeah, rather than an irresponsible one. Okay, and the last one is for Laura. We always look at something for the staff handbook every week, every time.
Just for a change, any questions?
Any questions for Laura? Otherwise, we will annually review the Chapter 7 staff and councillors protocol. Anybody want to propose that? Nick? Steve?
It's a majority.
Councillor, I haven't read it, sorry.
There are no changes. Both Paul and I have read it through and we don't propose any changes.
So are you abstaining or?
We appreciate your integrity. Thank you. That's everybody except Fiona.
It's majority.
Okay, so I think that brings this evening's meeting.
Well done.
meeting to an end. It was a bit of a marathon, but thank you very much for all our outdoor staff for sticking with us tonight. With my Open Spaces hat on, I want to thank you for what you do. And I come and see you as often as I can, and we'll continue to do so. And I think we'll have a sit down before long and have a nice chat. So thank you very much for everything, not just those who were featured in, but everybody across that part of the business. Thank you very much. So the next meeting will be here, 7th of May. I won't be here because I'm away, so somebody else will be chairing that. So this will be my last meeting as the chair of the Oversight Committee. So thanks for all your support over the last year or so, and we'll see you on the other side. Thank you.